Hello and welcome. I'm Anand Naidu filling in for Riz Khan. One of the effects of last month's attacks on Mumbai has been a sharp rise in tensions between India and Pakistan. India says all the attackers were Pakistani citizens, but was careful not to accuse the Pakistani government of any involvement. On Wednesday, Pakistani officials arrested 2 more men believed to be involved in the plot, but India says that's not enough. New Delhi wants Islamabad to hand over 20 men it blames for militant attacks, including the one on Mumbai. Pakistan has ruled out handing over the men. The country's foreign minister is also insisting that the arrested suspects be tried in Pakistan. On today's show, we ask, how will the Mumbai attacks affect relations between India and Pakistan? We take your questions and comments. Log on to livestation.com/AJE, enter the chat room, and there you can take part. We also welcome your telephone calls on the show. Now, joining me today to discuss the issue from London, Marie Lal, Associate Fellow at the Asia Programme at Chatham House and an expert on South Asia. Also from London, I'm joined by writer and journalist Salil Tripathi, a frequent writer for the Asia Wall Street Journal, The Guardian and The Sunday Observer. And here with me in Washington is Vanda Felpa-Brown, adjunct professor in the Security Studies program at the School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University and a fellow in foreign policy at the Brookings Institution. Welcome to all of you. Marie, let me start with you. Relations between India and Pakistan have never been that good. I mean, we know that. But ironically, in the days, in fact, in the weeks leading up to these attacks in Mumbai, the Pakistani president was reaching out to India for better relations. In fact, he was calling at one point for some kind of a non-first strike, nuclear strike, that would be agreement between the two countries. Would that have been now undone by these attacks? And do you see a freeze in relations in the future now?
No, I don't see a freeze in relations. In fact, India and Pakistan have to learn to work together. The first thing which India needs to understand is that Pakistan today is as much a victim of similar terrorist attacks. Let's remember that the Marriott bombing happened less than 2 months ago. And that the only way to get rid of Islamic terrorism and these extremist groups is if India and Pakistan, both governments, start working together. We've had unprecedented years of confidence-building measures, talks. There have been, under the rule of President Musharraf, there have been offers to solve the Kashmir problem. In many ways, India and Pakistan have come a very, very long way, especially since 2002 when there was that standoff at the border. At present, both countries, both governments need to start working together.
Vanda, let me ask you this. The United States appears to be turning up the heat on Pakistan ever so slowly, though. Condoleezza Rice says Pakistan needs to act, and she also said there is evidence that terrorists used Pakistan in these attacks on Mumbai. What is this going to do to relations between Pakistan and the United States?
Well, certainly the attacks do not contribute to an ease of relations between either India and Pakistan and the United States. But I agree with Marie's comment that while this is tragic and has potentially highly destabilizing effect on relations between India and Pakistan, and certainly further impacts relations between Pakistan and the United States, this could perhaps be seized as an opportunity for all participants, for all countries, including Pakistan, Pakistani's military establishment and government, to realize that terrorism is in fact a very dire threat to the very national interest of Pakistan and its very security, and proceed toward more cooperative and indeed serious commitment to suppress terrorism in all form.
Good point, and let me put that point to Salil Tripathi in London. Salil, do you think that these attacks are going to have, ironically, the effect of actually improving relations between Pakistan and India?
Well, it could if the sanity and wiser counsel prevails. I take Marie's point that Pakistan has been as much a victim of terrorism as India has been, and that's probably more so in terms of number of deaths in certain contexts, and particularly in the context of the events at the war that is going on in Afghanistan. But if you look at the mood in India, it is as though a war that it has nothing to do with is suddenly coming into the country. So the steering that needs to be done in India at the highest level has to be very deft and very sensible, and wiser counsels again have to prevail. Yeah.
Marie, if Pakistan is as much a victim in these kinds of attacks as India is Is that an indication that there appears to be a very deep division in Pakistan? Because on the one hand, we're hearing that there are elements in the Pakistani leadership, especially among the military and intelligence services, that militants are getting help from them. On the other hand, we're hearing from the president that they're as much a victim as India is. So does this indicate a deep division in Pakistan?
There is a deep division. I mean, the civilian government just does not control certain parts of the ISI. And we have to go back into history and remember that, ultimately speaking, militant groups were created with American funding in order to fight the evil of the day, which was communism, when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. This is how far back this goes. And the ISI was an instrumental part in controlling these militant groups. But these are instruments of foreign policy which have gone rogue. So there is this division, and Pakistan is aware that it cannot control some of these groups. And the New Delhi is aware of that as well. Obviously, sometimes the pressure New Delhi is putting on Islamabad is seen as aggressive by the other side. So it creates problems, and Pakistani civilians sort of feel undue pressure, probably from both now being bombed by the United States on one side, despite the fact that Pakistan is an ally in the war on terror, and on the other hand, having the Indian government sort of saying that, we blame our neighbors, or they weren't putting the blame quite so directly, but it was understood even from the first day onwards that Manmohan Singh was looking at the role that Pakistan was playing. I think we also have to understand that there is an internationalization of terrorism. So, of course, there are Pakistani nationals which have been involved in these attacks. But in how far that then leads back to any government involvement, which parts of the government, that all complicates the thing. And we have seen that there are nationals, many other nationals, involved in international attacks all around the world. Let's remember 9/11. The nationality of a lot of these hijackers were Saudi. And as a result of that, we have seen internationalization of Islamic terrorism, something both Pakistan and India have to tackle.
Salil, Marie makes the point that the Indian government is under pressure, but is the source of that pressure actually the Indian public?
Yes, very much so, because one has to take a step back and look at the importance of Mumbai as a city. I mean, it is the financial capital, it's also the entertainment capital, but it has a very important metaphorical role in Indian psyche. It's one city where no one community dominates. There's no majority. There are pluralities here. Salman Rushdie, in his novel The Moor's Last Sigh, makes the point that if you want to attack India, you have to attack Bombay first, using its earlier name. And the idea behind that is it's a port city where people come together. If you want to make it, you make it in India. So it has a huge value there. Now, if it's attacked so brazenly, and if it's attacked iconic places, not just the two hotels, but even the railway station where everyone from India comes there, it's a meeting point. It has a huge significant impact on the minds of people. We also have to remember that by April or May next year, the Lok Sabha elections, the parliamentary elections have to be called. So the ruling party will have to show that it's doing something, while at the same time maintaining restraint, because there is definitely awareness at the highest level in India that the people who are doing this are not necessarily those who are actually currently running the government in Pakistan. So it's a very, very tough balancing act.
May I just come in and say it's already playing its part in terms of the elections, because we've just had the state elections in Delhi, in Chhattisgarh, in Madhya Pradesh, and in Rajasthan. And yes, the BJP took out massive ads saying that, they've been accusing the Congress-led government of being soft on terror for ages, because the first thing that the Congress government did when it came into power in 2004 was to get rid of the Prevention of Terrorism Act, POTA. They got rid of that. So since that time, there's been a BJP push saying that this government is actually soft on terrorism. Look at how many attacks we've had. We've had attacks in 9 cities this year, alone this year in India. In some cases twice. Bangalore and Delhi have been attacked twice. So in that sense, it's already playing a huge role with regard to electoral politics.
Oh, but at the same time...
Yeah, I mean, just to come in on that, not to argue out the cases of various political parties in India on this issue.
Okay, just
but the BJP's own record in dealing with terrorism is not exemplary. I mean, the entire Kandahar episode of hijacking happened under BJP's
watch.
I
just want to get
it's not coming out into the debate with a very clean copybook. If
all right, excuse me for a minute. You want to say something?
Well, I wanted to
and just one more point.
Just one moment.
Can I just come in on one more point on that?
I'll give you a chance to make that point in a moment.
Sure.
I think it's also important about the state elections that BJP did not take many wins. They won in the states in the central India where they were expected to win, but in Delhi, that has suffered several attacks, Congress Party won. And also it's remarkable how peaceful the elections in Jammu Kashmir were, which could have easily been provoked into massive violence. There have been riots, significant riots since June and at the beginning of the fall, and yet they went very peacefully. So while there is a lot of public mood, a lot of public outrage naturally and pressure on the government, there is at the same time also recognition that other issues are important and that the government is trying to deal with the situation.
You know, one of the things that has come out in the aftermath of these... sorry, I'll be with you in a moment, Marie. I want to ask you this. One of the points that has come out in the aftermath of these attacks is that India did receive information that there was going to be an attack on Mumbai in September. But it appears to have failed to act on that. What does that tell us about India's ability to protect its cities and its people from attacks like this?
It is a challenge for any country to defend its population from terrorism. Many of the attacks are random. Now, it is, however, clear that the Indian forces are not well equipped to deal with these kinds of public security threats, whether it's police dealing with smaller riots and significantly failing to contain them, going back to Gujarat in 2002, or whether it's the current terrorism attacks. And there definitely needs to be a reckoning within India of beefing up security forces that are meant for counter-terrorism responses rather than, for example, conventional forces that deal with Pakistan or Blue Navy that the Indian army has been, Indian military has been pursuing.
Okay, ladies and the gentlemen in London, we have to take a short break now. A reminder that to our viewers out there that you can also join in the conversation with your questions and comments by logging on to livestation.com and entering the chat room. You can see the debate taking place there right now. We'll be right back.